Good evening, good evening. Hey there, beautiful Brown Girl family. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girl Boss. So excited to be here with you all tonight. I see you all coming in. So before we get started with everything, let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself in the comments. Let us know where you are watching from. And also let us know if this is your very first time hanging out with us on BBG TV's Brown Girl Boss. Also, go ahead and tag some of your friends. Tonight, we're talking about food and nutrition, y'all. And I don't know about you, but honey, COVID, done got your girl together. So I need this conversation, and I'm certain that some of you do as well. So as you're coming in, tag some of your friends that you think would benefit. Matter of fact, just tag all of them. Just tag all your friends, your family. Just tag your people. Get them in here. Share the broadcast on your page. Introduce yourself in the comments. Let us know. Me know. I'm so used to saying us when I'm on conversations. Let me know where you are watching from so that we can connect with each other in the comments. So I am going to take a moment to share on my page as well. So if you'll give me just a second to do that so that we can get this party started, y'all. I need this conversation. I'm telling you. Hey, Letitia. I see Letitia is here from is the girl in Kansas. I see. Is that Olathe? Kansas? How close is that to like Kansas City? That's the only city I really know in Kansas. In Topeka, I know that. But welcome, boo. Welcome to the party. And Toya is here from St. Louis. Hey, Toya, good to see you. Again, you all go ahead and introduce yourselves as you're coming in. Eugenia is here from Las Vegas. Hey, beautiful. If this is your very first time hanging with us, go ahead and make sure you let me know that. I love to celebrate our first timers. Okay, I'm gonna stop being like all over the place. Let me go ahead and share on my page so my people can get in here too. Because we need to talk. We need to talk about some things. Hey, Sabrina is here from North Carolina. Hey, beautiful. So excited to be here with you all. Now, I want to go ahead and kind of get us started just so we know what we're doing. And then I have some questions that I want to ask before we get started so that our guests tonight are really able to know where to go with this conversation to help us best. Hey, Vanessa. Vanessa's in here from New York. I see her as well. Y'all are coming in, coming in. Okay, so good evening and welcome to BBG TV Brown Girl Boss. This is our virtual platform that allows us to connect with other like minded women who are on a mission to live their very best lives. We come to you each week with programming that will challenge and inspire you and get the conversation going to connect with you and other beautiful brown girls. My name is Kimberland, and I'll be your host tonight. And I am coming to you all from Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I just moved on Saturday, y'all. So I'm still trying to get used to it. I don't even know what time it is. I'm just glad I made it here and didn't miss this appointment. Okay. But I am so excited. And tonight we're going to be talking about cultural foods. And I was telling the ladies the other day that I love tacos, right? And I've been beating myself up because I've been eating tacos every day. So we're going to ask them like just about all these types of foods. So make sure that you get your questions ready. Lakia, thank you. She said my curls are popping. I took my hair down for the ladies because they y'all gonna see they real cute, honey. And I was like, I got to be cute too. So that's why I've had to get my curls together. Hey, Jilly Jill, I see that you are here from Delaware. See, Toya, we gonna get it straight, love. I'm gonna ask for you. I'm gonna ask for us, okay, so that we know whether it is okay to be because I eat tacos every day. Like this is my confessional. But at any rate. Hey y'all, so excited to be here. As you can tell, y'all know this is the highlight of my week. I absolutely love anytime I get to hang out with our beautiful brown girl family. So definitely excited to have you here. Again, make sure you've introduced yourself in the comments, that you let us know where you're watching from, and that you also have tagged your friends in the comments, your families, your people. Tag them in the comments so that they can come and hang out with us as well. Now, before we get started, I have a question for you. Um, I told you we're going to be talking about cultural foods, right? And I want to know, what is your favorite cultural food? What does that even mean to you? Okay. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all something, and we just gonna keep it between like the few of us that are here or whatever. But like when I think about cultural foods, like I think about I'm from New Orleans, right? So I think about stuff like fried chicken and collard greens. But y'all, I have a confession. I don't eat either one of those. So I'm gonna have to ask the ladies, what are some other types of foods that I can eat? Because I don't eat those. So I really want to know, what is y'all's favorite cultural foods? Because we're gonna be asking what that looks like, what's that sound like, and why does this even matter? Okay. So I see Anna is here from Maryland, and then we also have Belle is here from Baltimore. Awesome, awesome. Y'all understood the assignment. Excited. I see y'all sharing over on the page. So go ahead, if you haven't shared yet, go ahead and do that so that you are able to get your people in. Also, make sure that you get something to take notes with, or that you are going to come back and watch the replay, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that we need to pay close attention to, and get some really good notes, right? So I want to make sure that the things don't fly away as we're getting all of this stuff. Okay, having said all of that, let me tell y'all about our guests tonight. So tonight we have Jazz and Ash with us, and they are both registered dietitians, and they bonded together to pursue their passion of preventing chronic disease through nutrition education. They together are the founders and directors of EatWell Exchange. It's a 501c3 nonprofit that teaches low socioeconomic communities how to grow their own food, cook foods in a healthier manner, and become more educated about their cultural foods. They teach communities how to make sustainable changes, respecting and maintaining their culture. Over the past 4 years, they've educated over 6,800 people and fed over 5,000. They've even traveled to Haiti for a mission trip and initiated a community garden there that allows over 65 families to grow and harvest their own food. These ladies are so phenomenal, and they've been featured in many places, and we are lucky enough to have them here with us tonight. So, beautiful brown girl family, let's welcome our guests, Ash and Jazz. So let's get them in here. Hey, beautiful.
Hello.
How are you all? You look gorgeous.
So do you?
I know.
Thank you. All of this melanin is just treating us well. Yes, yes. So excited to be here with you all tonight. I have been diving into your website, your Insta, the YouTubes, the interviews. I've really needed to talk about this because, like I was telling the community before I brought y'all in here, COVID. I was eating all the things. I was eating all the things. So I'm trying to get my life right, okay? And I need y'all's help. So if you will, start us off with helping us understand how you even got into this Eat Well Exchange, or maybe even being a dietitian. I really feel like I don't know too many Black dietitians. So Jazz, I see you kind of shaking your head. Like, kick us off and tell us some of this story here.
Yeah. So basically, we were both worked together at a facility in Florida, and we noticed we weren't even like dietitians yet. We were nutrition educators, meaning we had a bachelor's degree in nutrition, dietetics. And so we were just working together. We bonded immediately. It was like one of those things where it's like, a Black girl, hey girl,
Yes,
how you
we have to
doing?
be friends.
Right. Like, I need to know her. And we noticed at that healthcare facility, a lot of the professionals were not able to cater to brown girls like us, right? About what to eat. I mean, oftentimes these, patients or clients would come into the office and then leave discouraged, saying that they were non-compliant, that they should eat certain foods that they had never heard of, like quinoa or kale or whatever. And just leaving, just not encouraged to do better. And it wasn't that they didn't want to do better. It just was not familiar to them. So we one night just got together and we're like, hey, like, what about this idea of like providing education to communities, especially lower socioeconomic communities, about nutrition, because there's a big health gap. With that, there's not enough of that to go around sometimes. And I'll come back to why that may be as well. But what happened was we were like, let's do this on a spin of culture, though. Like, let's have a strong focus on culture. And then maybe like a couple of weeks later, I ended up going to like some type of wellness or diabetes conference. And I met this guy from Montego Bay, and he was actually a pharmacist. And I was telling him, I'm like, yeah, we have this nonprofit and we do all these great things and we have all these ideas. And he's like, yeah, come to Montego Bay. Teach us about our culturally rich, nutritious foods. And I called Ashley and I'm like, we just got invited to Montego Bay. Let's go. She's like, Jazz, we don't have anything yet. Like it was all based on an idea. And I say I love that moment because it really pushed us to really not only just sit in that idea, but actually go forward, because we saw a problem that was actually really, really causing a negative impact on our communities. And later on, we found that, wow, like we actually went through these same experiences where we saw family members passing away from things that, diseases that could have been preventable if they had proper access to healthy foods, but also nutrition education, and a focus on culture with it, and just knowing how to cook and stepping stones to growing your food as well. So that's really how EatWell was started.
Wow. So you make me think about like my food story, and I feel like I have a really tumultuous relationship with food that I really didn't realize until just recently. But I'm interested, Ash, if you can kind of talk to us a little bit about your food story, right? So, like growing up, what was your relationship with food?
Well, growing up, first I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm from Liberty City. So Liberty City is a lower income area. Most people know Liberty City for not so good things like, violence and, just being a hood pretty much.
Yeah.
So when you're in Liberty City, it's considered a food desert. So of course I didn't know that term back then, but I know it now.
Right.
So that means this area does not have a lot of access to fresh and affordable fruits and vegetables. So that means around me, there was corner stores, there was a meat market, there was gas stations, things like that. But in order to go to a grocery store, the closest one was in Hialeah. Hey, Christina, I see you in Miami. So the closest one was in Hialeah. So pretty much in order to go there, you needed a car, bus, or something like that. So when it comes to food, that was the main thing, access. A lot of people in my community did not have access to healthy food. And then again, it's a lower income community. So a lot of people couldn't afford healthier items.
Right.
And then number 3, with remember that this is all you know. So for me, being a little girl in Liberty City, all I knew was the corner stores. All I knew was my hot fries and pickle eggs. Like, that's all I knew.
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't even think like, oh, I want to eat healthy, because this is just it. This is your norm. And a lot of times when we talk to people from other cultures, well, I can just say mainly, white people, they really just don't understand. And they just feel like, why don't you guys do better as Black people? No. That's not the case. It's that this is our norm. This is all we know. And we have bigger fish to fry outside of nutrition. Can we be honest?
Correct.
So
wow.
My food story was pretty much just eating, foods from the corner store, eating foods from the meat market. Both of my parents were diabetic. So by the time that I was in middle school, they started to make changes to their health to be healthier. But most of those changes did not include foods that we were used to. It was more of like I think it was like the South Beach diet, or one of those diets that my mother's doctor told her to follow. So it was like a lot of, other foods. So we were introduced to new foods instead of our own cultural foods.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that because you just sparked a whole lot of stuff in me. But Jazz, I want you to share with us, what is your food story? What was your relationship like with food?
Yeah, so just like Ashley, it was like exciting to go to the corner store. I remember specifically over my grandmother's house, walking to the corner store with my grandfather and being excited to get that little bag of hot chips, right? And like a brownie, right? That was like the highlight of the day. But my grandparents lived in a neighborhood where there was access to a grocery store, but oftentimes the food that was healthy was either marked up, the price was really high. There was a limited amount, very, very limited amount, and also a lot of spoilage of those particular foods. And it's not appealing, to go in the store and get certain foods. So again, it wasn't a norm for us, and it wasn't until maybe, college where, you're in a huge university and you have like 3 or 4 grocery stores on the same street, and you like see the grass is greener on the other side, and you start to wonder, like, wait, like, this is happening, like, this is what this is, because this is not how I necessarily grew up. And plus, I had family members that passed from medical conditions that could have been prevented, but the education was not there. I remember having conversations with my grandmother and asking, like, hey, how was the doctor's appointment? He didn't say anything. It's all good. And it's like, what else though? So even like having those conversations with the older generation, just trying to understand, why are you not asking the doctor these things? Or why are you not asking for these things? Or not even knowing that a dietitian exists in the first place was a big barrier. So that was kind of my food story, and just my personal relationship with food throughout college, that I started to really understand that sometimes it's not just about the food. Sometimes it's about your emotions, your intention, and just developing some type of relationship with food that's healthy for you in the long term.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's start here, because both of you have mentioned these chronic diseases that are present in your families, right? And I know, for instance, in my family, diabetes runs on both sides of the family, hypertension runs in the family, high cholesterol runs in the family. So I'd like for you to take a moment to educate us about what is good food, right? Because as I'm looking through, I asked the community like what their favorite cultural food was. So I'm seeing things like pizza and West Indian food, so plantains, callaloo, collard greens, sweet potato pudding, seafood, so fish and conch, crawfish, oxtails. I'm getting hungry. God,
I know.
before I did this, curry goat, roti, peach cobbler, boudin balls, gumbo, soul paste, French fries, potato chips, some more plantains, more collard greens, mac and honey. I was waiting for the mac and cheese to show up, child. Mac and cheese, collard greens, kale. What else do we have here? Oh, some smothered meats. So we got like some smothered pork chops and things, mustard greens, fried chicken. Oh, child, I'm hungry. Okay, let me focus. So, what is good food or a good plate? Like, what should this look like?
I think that's funny though that you asked that question too, because I think Ashley would agree that majority of all those foods will fit somewhere on your plate. And a lot of times we may be told that they don't fit on your plate. So for example, if you Google healthy foods, right? Just put in healthy foods. A lot of those foods will not come up that were listed.
No, come on, the girl. Probably the kale.
Yeah.
The kale.
No. Yeah, that may come up. But it's like, that's not relevant for everyone. Like someone mentioned callaloo, and I know for me, because I'm not originally from Florida, I'm from Memphis. So when I met Ashley, callaloo was something that she taught me about, which is just another example of a great leafy green, which I grew up on leafy greens, turnip, mustard, collard greens, right? So it's so important that representation matters in this instance when it comes to our foods, but healthy foods on a plate should be colorful, should be balanced. And we want to make sure that we're getting, our non-starchy vegetables, our protein, even our carbohydrates like starches, because that's something that as a culture and as a society in this country, we like demonize potatoes and we demonize rice and beans and things like that, but they give us so many benefits and they're part of a healthy diet.
Okay, so now I'm kind of confused because, like, I just went to the doctor recently, and I told you diabetes runs in my family, right? So she's like, "Sis, like, you can't, be having French fries and like all this kind of thing." So, like, they They out here just telling us anything like, what you mean we can have it?
Well,
Yeah.
I guess a good way to see it is it's all about the bigger picture when it comes to your diet. Because I saw somebody write about, curry gold and oxtail and all these other foods, and everything can fit into a healthy diet. It just depends on how much you have of it and what you pair it with. So the main thing is whenever we look at our plate, half of the plate should be the fruits or vegetables. The other half should be divided between grains and protein. I can tell you for me growing up, half the plate was usually rice. And then it was like meat on top of the rice and some type of gravy. We would have cabbage and different things like that, callaloo, like someone else mentioned. And that would be like a small portion of the plate. And also, we wouldn't have it that often. So the main thing now is to shift our plate. So you can have your French fries, you can have your mac and cheese, but just remember where it falls on the plate. So I can take, I hope I don't pronounce your name wrong, Cede Marcel. So she has the mac and cheese, collard greens, kale. So mac and cheese will be, you could consider more of the grain because it's a pasta. The collard greens will be the leafy vegetable. Kale is also a leafy vegetable. So now all she needs to do is add protein to her plate. So that can be chicken, that could be beans. It depends on whatever she likes. That can be added to her plate as a protein. So it's okay. And even the oxtails, that's protein too. So you can build a healthy plate. It just depends on the portion size too and how often you have it. So again, we can use your French fries. That French fries should just be a quarter of your plate. So you need to have something else in the plate, whether it's fruit, whether it's salad, other vegetables as well.
Okay. So 50% fruits and vegetables, and then 25% protein and starches.
Right. And also, let me just add this in here. Nothing against physicians because we work with doctors all the time, but most of them do not have a lot of nutritional training. They have very minimum requirements for becoming a doctor to have nutritional training. I know. So they just have this 1 or 2 credit hours or 1 or 2 courses in nutrition. And like I said, doctors have a lot to learn. So we're not discrediting their knowledge, but we're just saying that they're not experts in nutrition. Registered dietitians are. So that's why it's important to have a healthcare team. It's like you wouldn't go to a podiatrist, a foot doctor, and ask them about your eyes,
Right.
So just because they're knowledgeable at one part of the body doesn't mean they're knowledgeable all of it. And even though food relates to everything, we all know that pharmaceuticals are heavily pushed into the medical field. So doctors are usually more well-versed on medications than they are nutrition. So sometimes it's easier for doctors just to say, cut this out, just because they don't have the extensive knowledge to tell you what to do instead.
That makes so much sense. I did not know that. Like that was like a real shock phase. But that makes so much sense because they're not like talking about the nuances of the different things and like really going like they're just like, don't be eating the fat and don't be having this and eat more of that, right? Here's your paperwork, go on and be great.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So talk to us a little bit more about I feel like we have been lied to. Like I'm kind of sitting here like having a moment because I feel like I've been lied to. But you also mentioned, one of you all mentioned earlier about, I think Jazz, you were talking about when you Google healthy foods, you don't see our foods come up. And I can't help but come back to when you said our foods have been demonized. I would love for you to dig a little bit deeper into that and help us to understand what that's rooted in or what that means even.
Right. Yeah. So a good example would be like soul food. I think with soul food, we have this assumption that, it is so good. We all know it's good. But to the fact that, it's marked as unhealthy because of a way that it may be prepared. Right. Or even like with the French fries. One thing I thought about too is like when Ashley mentioned where to put the French fries, unfortunately, healthcare professionals look at that and say, get rid of the whole plate. And it's like, we're not looking at all of the rest of the nutrients on the plate to say, very good job, a well-balanced plate. So I think for so long, just in our culture, unfortunately, certain professionals have had this like, I guess like ethnocentric idea, right? Like in a sense, like our way is the best way. Right. This is the way that I grew up. This is the only way to have it. And when we think about it, that actually comes from a lot of different places just in our history. Like their way is the only way and that's it. And somehow that has trickled down to the food that, you know, our ancestors were brought up on, that we celebrated, that we, you know, our ancestors had the fields of collard greens and things like that because that was
Right.
the only greens, you know, some of the only things that they had, or the black eyed peas. But because it's not their way, it's the wrong way. And that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Wow. And that's another connection that I had never really made, of the intersections of white culture and whiteness, and the erasure of our cultures and our cultural foods. I never um, thought about, you know, when someone says that this is healthy or this isn't healthy, I never really linked it to, oh, that's a black food. So now that black food is off the table because of whiteness and what um, mainstream culture says. So that's really sparking a lot of thoughts in my head. And one of the thoughts that I'm thinking is, you just started talking about our ancestors. And a lot of times people will say that. They're like, our ancestors grew up on, you know, collard greens and ham hocks and, you know, grits and eggs and cornbread, right? But now it's like we are not supposed to have that. So when we are, or that's what they say, now we're learning that we can, when we are thinking about, for instance, preventing diseases or things that run in our families, that our families have dealt with over generations, what advice do you have for us about how to make good choices? I feel like that's not even the right thing to say. Make good choices. I don't know. Now I'm like, I mean,
Well, I think it's a way of making better choices, right? And I saw
okay.
someone put in the chat too about like it's sometimes just the way the food is cooked. And you're completely right. When we're speaking of like food that our ancestors have eaten, we think of, okay, the foundation of that food. Collard greens itself is healthy for you. Now we may have
Mm-hmm.
to season it a certain way that may be even healthier for us. And I know, you know, back in that time, you were just kind of given what you had, like whatever you were given,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you used. But now that, you know, we have some type of control of how we cook and how we make it healthier based on what may have been taught, I think that plays a big role in it too. Because we're not sitting
Mm-hmm.
up here saying, girl, get that fat back, get that lard on that stove, and you know what I'm saying? Like, use that. That's not what we're saying. But we're
Mm-hmm.
saying, look at the foundation of those foods, the nutrients
Mm-hmm.
that they have, the fiber, the vitamin A, the vitamin C, all these immunity factors that can really save lives in our communities.
Mm. Mm. So, as jumping here in, Sharice just put a question in. How do we break the cycle, right? So, okay, we can eat these foods. It's about how they're prepared. But what advice do you have for us about how to break the cycle of what we're so used to doing that maybe hasn't led to the best results?
Well, I would say number one, for us to get out of that mindset that diabetes runs in our family, heart conditions run in our family, nothing runs in our family. Whatever runs, let's trip it so it can fall and stop. That's just how I feel. Because we all have this mindset where I came ready tonight.
I'm
But no, we
like,
all have this.
okay.
But see, here's my thing. And the reason why I say that, like I said, I have, diabetes in my family. Both parents and grandparents all had diabetes. So now what does that do? Naturally, when you feel like something's destined to happen, you just let it happen. It's destiny, you know?
Mm,
So
mm,
my thing is, let's change that destiny. Let's tell, if we have that mindset saying, I'm going to get diabetes when I turn 50, you will get diabetes when you turn 50.
wow.
I can bet anything on it. So I feel like what we have to do is we have to change our mindset and say that my parents got diabetes not because it's in our blood, but because it's
Mm,
in our habits. It's in
mm,
our food choices. It's in our activity levels. It's in our stress levels. Because no one will talk
mm,
about stress, but we can tap into that in a little bit. But the issue is we have all these factors that our parents and grandparents had, and that's why we have the conditions they have. But you are
mm,
not predestined to have it. So what does
mm,
that mean? If we take more control of what we eat, if we take more control in our activity, if we monitor our stress, if we start going to the doctor for preventative health care and seeing dietitians like ourselves, you can make a difference in your generation. And then now your kids won't even know what diabetes is because you don't have it anymore. So we can stop everything by just making changes. And the best thing to do is change your habits. If you change your habits, you'll change your life.
Okay, honey, I receive, honey. So let's look, because the people like help us. Okay, so let's talk about these habits, right? Because it's hard, right? Habits are things that we have developed over time. I'm 40 years old. I got 40 years of habits. Okay. So what advice do you have for us about breaking the habits that have not contributed to our health so that we're able to develop some new habits?
Can I jump in on this one really quick? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it, Ash.
I work pediatric position. That's why I said I mainly work with pediatrics. I've been working for peds for the past 10 years. And pretty much one thing I noticed is we set our kids up for failure. And let me tell you this, and you guys don't have to, acknowledge in the group. You can just raise a little church finger if you want. But think about how often you give your kids juice at 1 year old, 6 months. Who's putting cereal in the bottle? Who's saying, oh, let's give him some cake and see if he likes it? What are we doing? Who doesn't like cake? Why are we setting our kids up for failure? So that's number one. When kids are young, we tell them they can eat whatever they want because it's fun and it's fine and it's okay. But we have to remember that kids become adults.
Right.
And you don't turn 18 and say, oh, I don't want anything sweet after dinner as a treat because I ate all my food anymore.
Right.
We still do that, So it's important for us to remember that when you have small kids, don't let them do whatever they want just because they're kids, because kids become adults. And when you're an adult, you cannot break these habits that we had for 30, 40 years. So that would be my main. Don't want for them to continue. And then number two, as an adult, we have to just reassess and not accept everything for what it is.
Yeah, I think
actively do what you can to challenge little habits and to make changes.
Yeah, you just made me really reflect back, right, on the way that we even use food as a reward, right? So you saying like you ate all your food, now you get dessert, right? Because I remember y'all, so I was confessing to the community, like I don't eat collard greens. I never have. I stopped eating chicken just recently, but I'm gonna put my mama on blast. She cannot cook. She has never been able to cook. It's just horrible. So there were many nights that I would get in trouble because I didn't finish my food. So she was like, if you don't clean the plate, you're going to catch a whipping. Like you have to sleep at the table. I used to be like, girl, good night. Because what I'm not about to do is eat this, right? But then on the times when I did clean my plate, then I got to have some dessert. I got to have some ice cream. I got to have, all the things, right? Natasha said, you get good grades, you get pizza, right? Or you got on the honor roll. I'm going to take you to go get ice cream, right? So I'm feeling like somewhat like triggered. I'm trying not to be or whatever. But like what talk to us about this process, because this is hard. I feel like this is hard to break these habits that have been filtered down. Like what we're gonna do well with our kids. We're gonna make different choices. What about us though? Because I'm the problem.
Right. I think first you have to show yourself grace in that moment, because a lot of times when we make mistakes, we're not showing up for ourselves by just taking ownership of it and saying, hey, this is not right. What small changes can I make? And a lot of people think too that, when they make I'll give an example. They go on a diet. You go on a diet, you're doing good for a week or two, then you have a piece of cake. Then you feel guilty. And it's like a whole cycle of like this dieting thing, which keep in mind, that is not healthy either, to yo-yo diet, to restrict yourself from different foods. So I think it's so important for you to show yourself grace, and especially, at being at a certain age, realizing and reflecting, like you said, it's like, oh man, I remember this happened. Forgive yourself for that. And a lot of times you don't know. And it's okay, but once you do know, try to figure out small steps of how you can make it better for yourself and just show yourself kindness throughout the process of it. Because a lot of times in society, we normalize dieting, and then if you mess up, it's like you're shamed for it. And that's something that we need to get away from too. We need to be uplifting to each other and hold each other accountable instead of shaming people when they are trying to get better, but there may be other circumstances that may prevent it or make it harder than someone else. And one other thing you noted too, which I think is funny about like the kids, and I think Ashley mentioned that too. Children, if you really just sit there and look at them as far as when they eat, they are so aware of when they're hungry compared to us adults who are oftentimes distracted while we eat. We're eating, trying to do 50 million things, pay the bills, do laundry, eating at the same time, right? So I think it's so important to learn that our kids actually, when they come out of the womb, they know when to tell you when they're hungry. And those are inner things that we have to listen to and listen to our bodies. And for so long, you may not have done that. And you get to the age of 40 or 50, and then now you've numbed your hunger cues when you don't even know when you're hungry or full anymore. And you're in this situation where you're facing pre-diabetes, on the edge of about to have diabetes, and you don't know where to start. So I really think it's just more complex sometimes, but try not to make your journey as complex. Just start with small things as much as you can and get the accountability that you need, the positive accountability that you need.
Yeah. Yo, I did not expect to I feel myself almost tearing up a little bit, like while we're sitting here talking. I didn't expect this. Like, I'm like, what is happening inside? But in real life, it's because I'm just sitting here thinking about in life how eating became a stressful time for me. It was like either I again had to eat all my food, or I don't like this food and I have to eat it, or thinking about how many times I've said to myself, I'm going to do better. And then I didn't do better. And then it was just like everything just went to heck. Like I just, I'm having a moment. I'm really having a moment. And I see a couple of you all in the comments are having those same moments. And Ash, I want you to kind of talk to us a little bit about, you have brought up, Jennifer just took the words out of my mouth. You had brought up a moment ago about stress. And you were like, I'm going to talk about the stressors. Talk to us about stress and the role that stress plays in this relationship that we have with food.
Okay, so this can get deep, but I'm going to keep it like just informative, but not, too scientific. But pretty much stress is a normal part. If we think about caveman days, things like that, things would happen. Anything can start chasing you in the wild, and your body has to respond, the fight or flight response that we all know about, right? So, and again, I'm keeping this on basic level, so it's a little bit deeper, but we're going to keep it here so it's easy to understand. So our body goes through a fight or flight response. When that happens, several things occur. So one thing that increases is cortisol, which that increases our belly fat. There's other responses that, turn your adrenaline up, inflammation increases. Your body pretty much tries to prepare for whatever is going to happen. And that includes starvation. So your body thinks, okay, if there's something dangerous happening, I may need to have to just hold it down for a little bit. So I may not have to eat. So it slows down our metabolism. All these things are happening in our body when we go through stress. So I just mentioned something chasing us, which isn't going to happen that often. But what about when the police get behind you and you start to wonder if they're going to pull me over today and I won't make it home to my family? What about you are going through something at work and I'm the black girl with locks and everybody's looking at me because my hair is unprofessional? What about when you say something and someone undermines you while you're on a call and we have to just hold it down? So I'm going to tell you that even when black people, even when we do eat perfect, even if we ate the same way, for me as a black woman, if me and a white woman ate the same, our bodies would not look the same. Right. And that's because of stress. Even when it comes to health issues, stress is a big indicator because that inflammation, our body is not supposed to be inflamed chronically. We're supposed to have inflammation and go back down. But that doesn't happen for us as black people just because we're constantly under stress. And the worst part is we've been stressed for so long, we don't even know it. So we walk around smiling, cheering, just doing our thing because it's a part of our lives. So now what happens with this stress? We found ways to cope. So when we're kids, we eat, junk food. As we become adults, we start eating chips and other things, just mindlessly munching. When it comes to sweets, sometimes we gravitate to sweet food because you had cake on your birthday and cake on holidays. So cakes always made you feel like you did a good job. So even though we're adults and we're not saying, I did a good job, let me get a cake, our bodies know that these foods comfort us. So because we're stressed and we don't know the tools to decrease that stress, it leads to negative habits. But even if we didn't have those negative habits, the stress alone is literally killing us in different areas. So it's something that we have to control, go to therapy, do whatever you need to do, say no more, stay home more, whatever you need to do to decrease stress in your life. I highly recommend to do that because stress can literally, kill you. So definitely do what you can to decrease stress.
Yeah, and you made me who just Anna, she just said a moment ago that she's the opposite, that when she's stressed she doesn't eat. That's my problem. Like
Mhm.
I don't eat enough. Like I literally, my doctor, when I figured out like that I was like so stressed and I really needed to do something else, I went to the doctor to try to get some help, and I hadn't eaten in 2 days. And like she
Wow.
asked me,
And
when was the last time that you ate? And I was like, day before yesterday. Like I was that stressed and just hadn't even thought about it. I don't even know if I had a sip of water in all of that time because I was so stressed. So what about us that don't eat enough? Oh wait, you're muted, Jazz.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Oh, I was saying that I see that a lot of times I work with a lot of people who have diabetes, and when I do like a nutrition week recall for them, what I find is that a lot of people don't eat enough. They're skipping meals, they're avoiding meals. They're not really put in as a priority because there are other things going on. There are other environmental factors that they have to think about.
Mhm.
So for those people who do that, I would say, again, show yourself grace. And then second, of course, maybe set reminders. And a lot of times when we think of a meal, we think a lot of times that that meal has to be that plate method that we just mentioned to you. But for some people, it actually may be a snack or something like some fruit and some nuts that you can eat to get you to the next time where you may have an appetite. So you have to kind of build up that appetite. And when you're
Mhm.
stressed out too, naturally as everyone, we have hunger cues. We have these cues where our body tells us if we're hungry. And a lot of times throughout our lives, we've ignored them. And it may be because of stress. So I think it's so important to acknowledge that, okay, I am maybe not hungry for breakfast, but I know that I need to eat something for breakfast. So let's start
Mhm.
small until I can really start to get in tune with my stomach or telling me that I'm
Mhm.
hungry, where it's growling, or where I start to feel weak and I know it's time to eat. So I think it's a
Mhm.
process in the making, and you just have to really map out those little time periods. Maybe set an alarm on your phone. It's time to eat a
Mhm.
snack. Maybe
Mhm.
having the food visible, like maybe having a gorgeous fruit bowl, visible, full of all these different fruits and vegetables to kind of give you that reminder to eat. The last thing I'll say too, for a lot of people who may not have the appetite to eat because of stress, even consider some type of supplements because some people really can tolerate better liquids versus food sometimes,
Yeah.
especially when you're sick or you're just completely stressed out, where when you eat, it makes you very nauseous. So there are certain
Mhm.
strategies that you can do, but it does take a lot of process and trial and error to get to that point of being back to yourself.
Yeah, I had wound up getting applesauce because I felt like
Mhm.
it was something that was easy for me to eat and I didn't have to think about it. So that was something. And then when you mentioned inflammation, it makes me think about. So I've been trying not to eat cheese lately, and Cassandra had asked a question about elimination diets because what will happen for me is I feel like I start producing mucus and then it's hard to swallow. So then I feel like I'm gonna choke. So now it's like a whole situation, right? So she was asking about the elimination diet. Is there a purpose to it? And then about this whole lactose intolerance thing. Is that a thing? Really? You want to jump in there, Ash, and grab that? Oh, I don't know if she froze. Oh, Ashley, you're muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Sorry, I was a little lagged behind, so I hope
No
y'all can hear
worries.
me well.
We can hear
But
you.
when it comes to lactose intolerant, a lot of Black people. That being said, I would recommend an elimination diet, and you still want to eat half the plate fruits or vegetables, the other half grains and protein. But the main thing you'll do is just take away one food at a time to see how your body responds. And this is something that's foreign to us because we're not connected with our bodies like we should be. We just eat and do as we please, but we never think how different foods make us feel. So
Mm.
I would say take dairy as an example and just go a week without having dairy and see if you're less bloated. See if your headaches went away. See what changes in your life. And you can do
Mm.
that too for gluten because for some people they have gluten intolerances. You can
Hmm.
do that for eggs. You can do that for different foods. And one week isn't going to ruin your life or make you deficient in any vitamins or minerals,
Right.
but sometimes a week is enough for you to see if your body responds differently. So there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you're continuing to eat healthy, balanced meals. Like I wouldn't just do like a juice cleanse for like a whole week or anything like that, just because you're missing out on vitamins, minerals, and fiber. But I would say it's okay to take away one food to just see how your body reacts to it.
Okay. So I keep hearing because that's another type of diet that people, be doing the juice diet. So no to diet. Say no to diet. That is resounding in my mind. A couple folks have mentioned food journals. So Toya said that food journal helped her. Ashley said that a food journal also helped her as she was dealing with her hunger cues being jacked up. So I know that you all have a challenge that's going on right now, and it kind of is like an electronic food journal of sorts. So can you talk to us about your challenge and how we can get involved with that?
Yeah, of course. So the Eat Well challenge is on Instagram and Facebook. If you put in hashtag Eat Well Exchange challenge. And what that is we noticed that there wasn't a lot of representation of different cultures of their food being put on a plate and actually visualizing what that looks like. So what we do is we pretty much accept any pictures that you may take of your food based on what we talked about with half of your plate, like your leafy vegetables or non-starchy vegetables and fruit, and then the other half of that plate divided up with the protein and the starch. But you can do it with your culturally relevant food. So for example, it could be collard greens on one side of that plate and then maybe some sweet potatoes on top and a piece of chicken at the bottom. Snap a picture of that, and then once you snap a picture, tag hashtag Eat Well Exchange challenge, and then we'll feature you regarding your culturally relevant plate. So it's something that we want to make sure that we give exposure to. We want people to understand that everyone's plate does not have to look the same, as long as it has some benefits for you.
I love it. So here are some of the plates that we have you all. Oh, I'm getting hungry again. Love this. Okay. So once we have our plate, and you know how y'all remember it used to be like a thing on Instagram to share your plate, and then like people started talking about people that would do it. But now we can take our food pictures again and just tag the Eat Well Exchange challenge. So we don't have to be shamed. We're doing it with purpose, right? So I love that.
Perfect.
Were you about to say something, Ash?
Right. An important thing is that your plate doesn't have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think she froze a little bit. You back with us?
Yes, I was saying your plate doesn't have to be perfect because sometimes people won't share a plate because it has like a fried dumpling on it. But that's not the case. Send us that plate anyway because you can still include all the foods you like. in a good diet. And trust me, we tell you the benefits. And sometimes if you look at those plates, in different other foods. So always send us those plates and we'll break it down for you. And again, the most important thing is it does not have to be perfect. If something is fried on the plate or you have a little bit extra rice, it is okay. You don't have to eat quinoa.
I love that. I'm laughing because I would be the one to be like, I am not about to tag my plate. I'm not about to be sitting here judging my life.
Yes, tag it. Because I know someone put in the comments too at the beginning, they like pizza. Okay, tag us in that pizza. Like, where does that pizza fit on that plate? Because it takes a lot of ingredients to make the pizza itself. And you better believe that a lot of those ingredients can still fit on that plate. So
That's
don't be
true.
scared of the plate.
That's true. So we can definitely do this together, BBG family. We have to get in here, get these plates tagged, just so we can see. Because even like you said, there are foods that are on the pizza that are not harmless, right? They are not harmful. They went into having a space on our plate. So I feel the grace. I feel the grace that you're extending. I am receiving the grace in all of it. So I'm sure some of you all, as you were watching, may have heard me say that you all are 501c3. So, as you're talking, I just really feel like this is the type of education that so many people need, not just personally, but just everywhere, right? And I know that you've done like some work in Haiti and things of that nature. Talk to us about how we can further support you, because we definitely about to go over to your social spaces and we're gonna get into all of that in a second. But what other support can we provide so that more brown girls and brown families get this education?
Yeah, so one way that you can support us is definitely go to our Instagram, and you'll see a link tree where you have a additional button where you can donate to our donor box, which is so exciting. All that funding goes towards communities that we serve, churches, organizations. We've catered to our culinary program that we have where we get kids in the kitchen and get them cooking. The money and the funds also support what we've started now is virtual gardening, virtual potting classes, something that you can even be involved in, right? So anything that you donate goes to really the impact and the knowledge and the access to providing lower socioeconomic communities this education that's needed to basically save lives. So that's one way that you can definitely support us and share, with your friends about EatWell Exchange. We know that dietitians, as far as Black dietitians, we only make up 2.6% of all dietitians in this nation. So a lot of times when people meet us, they're like, whoa, you're Black and you're a dietitian. So definitely support, that, because we're even thinking about doing things, giving students opportunities to be in this same journey as we've had as becoming dietitians as well. So your money is going further than what you can expect, just because it's working behind the scenes to get more dietitians of color, but also to provide impact for the communities that we're serving.
Oh, I love that so much. Letitia wanted to know, do you have volunteer opportunities?
We do, and that's another thing. If there's a certain skill set that you feel like could really benefit us as a nonprofit, I think that we would love to have you volunteer in whatever capacity that you can. I'm currently in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Ashley's in Miami. And, as things are starting to slowly open back up, we are getting approached with opportunities to be in person with certain classes and things like that. So please, yes, you can also find that out in the link tree as well. If you are wanting to volunteer, that access is there as well. Contact us and we'll definitely be in touch.
And I'm going to show you all what the link tree looks like, because there is some really good information over there. And it's like everything that you need is there on the link tree. And I was even watching some of the interviews that you all have had, and really just getting people the chance to know about the amazing things that you're doing. So there's a podcast here, there's merch, there are articles, like there are so many things that you all, even recipes, okay? So we can definitely get connected to that, you all, to make sure that we are wait, hold on, let me mute that right quick, that we are really spreading the word about this, because there is so much misinformation that we've gotten. I think if I've gotten anything out of this time together, is that we have had so much misinformation, and it's time to break that cycle, right? Like Ashley said, trip that thing, okay, if it's running in your family. So if you all could leave our community with a lasting word or thought, what would be the lasting word or thought that you would provide?
I think it's time to take responsibility for your own health. So it is time to take responsibility for your own health. It not only affects you, it affects generations after you. And you can be that driving force to get that initiated. It doesn't have to be perfect. It only starts with taking that first step. We all did not start out walking. When we were babies, we had to crawl, right? And we had to fall down a couple of times, and that is completely fine. But your generations after you are depending on you to make those habits, to teach those habits. So definitely progress over perfection.
I love that. And Ash, what lasting word would you leave with the community? Can you hear me, Ash?
Now I can.
Okay. What
Sorry about
lasting
that.
word? It's okay. What lasting word would you leave with our community?
One last word. I would say culture. And what I mean by that is we have to maintain our culture. So when it comes to eating healthy, when it comes to making changes, I don't want you to feel like you have to, whitewash your diet to be healthy, because that's not the case. You can still eat your callaloo, you can still eat your aki, you can still eat your saltfish, you can still eat all of those foods, your black eyed peas, sweet potatoes, you can eat your mac and cheese, all of those foods and still be healthy. Because we have to remember our culture is not just for fun. This is our identity, this is our DNA. And if we get rid of our DNA,
Man, I tell you, this Mercury retrograde is not trying to let us be great tonight. She was in the pocket. Oh, man.
Yes.
But yeah, I definitely received what she was saying about our culture and honoring our culture and recognizing that we don't have to demonize that. But then also, I think Ash's statement that I might tweet out tonight is, we don't have anything running in our family, and if it's running, we're gonna trip it. Okay,
You're going to trip
that right there. That was a word, okay? So we absolutely received that, and I'm just so grateful to you all for taking some time out to hang out with us and to really just pour it into our community. I again did not realize how deep that this ran in thinking about food, and I just appreciate you all even granting the grace to us to be able to just it's something about your spirits, you're just like, no, it's okay, like, and we can do this, and it's one step at a time. That's the uplifting that we try to give here at Beautiful Brown Girls, and just really doing this together, because this has been a journey for many of us that we've been on for so long, and just wanting to get it right. So definitely urge you, community, to go over to their social spaces, go to their link tree, so that you are really able to get the information and join the EatWell Exchange challenge. Put your plates on there. I'm gonna put my tacos on there as I'm eating my tacos. Every
Yes.
time that I walk out this door here in Mexico, it's just really going to, it's, I feel refreshed and I feel like there's been some grace. So, to our viewers, we really want to make sure that you all have connected with us. We are committed to continuing to bring you programming like this. And a way that we're able to do that is through our crowdfunding that we have going on right now. So we ask you all to go to our website, beautifulbrowngirls.com, and search crowdfunding so that you can see how you can help us to continue to bring quality programming like this to you for free, right? We just dropped the direct link into the comments for you, so you can feel free to click on that and really just join with us. We want to make sure that we're all living our best lives, not just in theory, in real life. We want to live our very best lives. So we need your help to be able to do that. We also want to make sure that you're connected to us on our Facebook page, Beautiful Brown Girls, on Instagram at Beautifully Shaded, and on Twitter at Beautiful Brown U. And that way you'll be able to see all the other amazing things that we have going on. And then lastly, I would love if you all would connect with me as well. My Facebook is Kimberlyn Jackson at Kimberlyn J on Instagram. And I also have my brand new brand, Minding My Black Ass Business. So you can also check that out. I am just so grateful for you all again and just want to thank you for your time and let you know you are officially members of the Beautiful Brown Girl family. You you are always welcome to come and hang out with us and just let us know how we can support you, right? So keep us in the loop on the different things that you have going so that we can make sure that we put our community behind you all because you're doing some amazing work. So, on that note, thank you all so much. And thank you, Brown Girl family, for watching. We will see you next week with another episode of Brown Girl Boss. Until then, you all have an amazing evening, and we'll see you next time.